Which platoon sergeant turned a unit everyone hated serving under into one soldiers extended their contracts just to stay in. Sergeant First Class Harlan Webb took over 2nd Platoon on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday morning, every soldier in the company already felt sorry for us. That was the reputation. 2nd Platoon was where careers went to stall. 3 platoon sergeants in 2 years. Retention rate so low battalion had stopped tracking it because the numbers were embarrassing. Our last PSG had left behind a counseling backlog, equipment shortfalls, and a platoon that had learned one survival skill. Keep your head down and wait for your ETS day. Guys weren't just planning to get out. They were counting days out loud at formation. Webb showed up at 5:45 a.m. on his first day, walked a motor pool alone before anyone else was there. Didn't say a word to us until 7 a.m. formation. When he finally spoke, it wasn't a speech. He just asked one question. What's the worst thing about this unit? Nobody said anything. We'd heard that kind of opener before. It was usually a trap. Answer honestly, get smoked for it later. Webb waited. Full minute of silence. All right, he said. I'll figure it out myself. He dismissed us. That afternoon, he called a team leader meeting. I was a staff sergeant running 2nd Squad, so I was in the room. He sat at the head of the table with a legal pad and a pen, and he went around asking each of us the same thing. What was broken, who was getting hurt by it, and how long it had been that way. Sergeant Pryor said the night shift duty roster hadn't been updated in 6 weeks. Guys were pulling double shifts because the spreadsheet was wrong and nobody had fixed it. Webb wrote it down. Sergeant Okafor said the platoon had been short 2 vests since a deployment draw that never got reconciled. Soldiers were sharing body armor during range qualifications. Battalion knew. Nobody had escalated it. Webb wrote it down. I told him our PMCS records were falsified. Previous PSG had been signing off on vehicle checks that weren't happening. If we ever got a no-notice inspection, we were done. He looked at me for a long moment. How long? 8 months, Sergeant. He wrote it down and didn't say another word about it. Next morning, the duty roster was corrected. He'd stayed until 10 p.m., rebuilding it himself. The night before, he'd already emailed battalion about the vest shortage. By Thursday afternoon, 2 new vests were sitting in the supply room with our platoon's name on the request. He'd gone to the S4 directly, bypassed the company supply chain that had been stalling the request for 3 months. The PMCS records took longer. He called me into his office on Friday at 4 p.m. The vehicle records, he said. I need you to show me exactly which checks were signed off without being done. I thought he was going to hang me with it. I'd known about it and hadn't pushed hard enough to fix it. Sergeant, I should have. I'm not asking whose fault it is, he said. I'm asking which vehicles. We're going to spend Saturday morning doing every single check that was skipped and documenting it properly. You and me and whoever else we need. We spent 6 hours in the motor pool that Saturday. Webb in coverages, crawling under trucks alongside privates, no rank theater, just work. By noon, the records were clean. He filed a corrective action memo himself, flagging the discrepancy to battalion before they could find it. Controlled the narrative before anyone could weaponize it against us. Word got around fast in a platoon that size. Private DeLeon stopped me in the hallway that Monday. Sarge, is the new PSG for real? Seems like it, because Sergeant Okafor said he actually answered his phone at 9 p.m. when Martinez called about his leave form. He did. DeLeon just stared at me. The last one blocked Martinez's number. Webb didn't hold Friday afternoon fun runs nobody wanted. He didn't give motivational speeches. He just removed friction. Every problem soldiers had stopped bringing up because nothing ever changed. He either fixed it himself or got someone on record for not fixing it. He kept a running log in his office. Open document. Anybody could read it. Problem reported. Date. Status. Resolution. It was maybe 40 items long within the first month. 6 weeks in, battalion retention NCO came to our platoon bay for the quarterly re-enlistment canvas. Standard practice. He expected to collect a bunch of ETSing specialists and move on. He came back to the company commander looking confused. 11 soldiers in 2nd Platoon had flipped from separating to undecided or re-enlisting in 6 weeks. In a platoon of 32. That had never happened in this battalion's recent memory. Company commander called Webb in. What are you doing differently? Webb set his notepad on the desk. Fixing things, sir. That's it. That's usually enough. I was on my way out. 22 months in, 8 to go, and I had a job offer from my cousin's company already in my email. Project management. Normal hours. No motor pool at 6 a.m. I'd already run the numbers. Civilian pay was better. Schedule was better. I'd be home every night. I walked into Webb's office 2 months before my ETS to tell him I wasn't re-enlisting. Standard courtesy. Let your PSG know early so manning could be adjusted. He nodded. Didn't push back. Asked where I was going, what the job was. Listened the whole way through. Then he said, you're a good squad leader. Whoever runs your team after you is going to have a high bar to clear. That was it. No sales pitch. No re-enlistment bonus speech. He just meant it. I left his office and sat in my truck for 20 minutes. I thought about the 6 years before Webb. The falsified records nobody touched. The vest shortage that sat for 3 months because escalating it meant making enemies. The duty roster nobody fixed because it wasn't technically their job. I thought about how fast he'd fix all of it. Not because he had special authority, because he just refused to let problems sit. I drove to the retention office and signed for 3 more years. The NCO asked what changed my mind. I told him I'd been trying to find a boss like Sergeant First Class Webb my entire adult life and I wasn't stupid enough to walk away from one when I finally had him.